What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. Into the semi-finals we go as we beat West Ham 2-1 last night at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Didn't all have it our own way last night. It was a very nervy game, especially for me, or in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I mean, I was there at the game last night and I was very tense. It was very tense in that stadium at times. Walked inside the stadium. There's a feel-good factor around the club right now. There really is, and you can see that with the reaction of the fans, the way the fans are behaving. I mean, I haven't felt like that walking into the stadium for a long time. The beers were being thrown everywhere. Spurs fans were absolutely causing carnage on the in the concourse in the south stand. It was really good to see. The songs were flowing, the beers were flowing. And then you get into the game and the atmosphere carried on into the stands the first 10-15 minutes, and then West Ham kind of I think after we scored yesterday, West Ham really started to play, and they had like 2 or 3 chances straight away after we scored. Hugo Lloris equal to them. But it was an interesting game last night. I think West Ham didn't play badly, did they?
No.
And we didn't play particularly that well. But we managed to get the win over the line.
I think from our point of view, especially in the first half, defensively we were very open, but we were actually playing some good football. I thought Kane, Lucas, Bergwijn, along with Skip and Højbjerg, were actually linking up really, really well in the centre of the park, and we actually created a number of openings, especially Bergwijn. He seemed to be have a real spring in his step last night. Every time he got the ball, things started to happen. I was really happy for him.
With Bergwijn, I felt that he started the game quite slowly. In the first 10-15 minutes, I felt like, you know, bad touches, running the ball in wrong directions and stuff like that. But I think once he kind of knuckled down in the game, he was our best player last night, and obviously it showed with the goal and the assist. The assist was brilliant from Bergwijn, and a lovely finish as well.
Yeah, and the great thing about the first goal was he did exactly what Conte was talking about in terms of seeing him more as a potential player who can play up top and using his body to hold the play up and using his strength. That's exactly what he did. He was holding off, I think it was Diop. He held the ball up, he laid it off to Højbjerg, didn't just, admire his pass. He went and followed his run in. Højbjerg squares back to him, he scores. And I thought throughout the game, he was our biggest threat. Whenever he got the ball, I felt he was one, even picking little passes in between the lines and in the penalty area, a bit of dribbling and keeping the ball away from West Ham. I thought he was really great. And that continues the trend of Conte improving players who, or getting a tune out of players who people thought shouldn't be here anymore, and people wanted gone, and maybe all of a sudden these are players looking like maybe they can provide something for us, which is really, really great. But in terms of the game, I thought that we were quite open in the first half with the chances after we scored anyway.
I just felt like we were just giving West Ham too much control of the game at times, especially in that first half. Second half, I don't think they actually created too much, West Ham.
No.
First half, they had way too many chances for my liking, and Hugo Lloris putting in a really strong showing.
I wouldn't say in the first half they had control, but they had a lot of openings. I think we had a lot of openings too. So it was quite it was very open. It was like a very quite end-to-end, especially after...
cup game, yeah. It was a classic cup game, wasn't
especially
it?
after we scored, it became so open all of a sudden. Like, Souček was getting all sorts of positions. If Lloris was keeping us in the game at one point, keeping us ahead. It was literally Souček versus Lloris at one point. And then also Skip at 2-1 makes that great challenge, which was about to fall to Souček. Yeah, but he did well, because Souček would have scored there. So I think... That was troubling, and we had to rely on Lloris to keep us ahead. But in the second half, once we did make the changes, I felt we were a lot more solid, for sure. We were definitely a lot more solid, and West Ham found it a lot more difficult to actually break through. But it did also kind of mean giving up possession a bit, allowing them to kind of have possession, but also make sure that they're not finding it easy to open us up. And I think clogging up the midfield worked in that way, and I think Conte managed the game well. There was one moment though, wasn't it? There was one moment where I think it was Lanzini plays a beautiful pass on the halfway line. Bowen goes one-on-one, and Lloris just comes streaming out somehow, gets a hand on it.
Brilliant.
Which was absolutely brilliant. That was the only opening in the second half, really.
Yeah, there was that, and there was a few pop shots right at the end. I mean, I think Benrahma had one that just went just past the post.
Those are worldies if they go in, you know what I mean?
But, you know, we've seen it happen against us before. Lanzini,
yeah, but they're not chances.
for instance. They're not chances, but they can go in.
Yeah, but if Kane had a shot from 30 yards, you wouldn't call it a chance. You know what I mean?
No,
So it's just
when you're 2-1 up, right, and you don't put the game to bed, and you're going into the game in the last few minutes, and West Ham, you know, for those last 10, 15 minutes, I think they were looking like they were going to score, really, and I was really worried from the stands. And yeah, fine, their pop shots are not real chances, but at 2-1, you can't be giving away even those half chances, because we can see what happened to Lanzini. If that game goes to penalties, how nervy would have that been?
there was one moment where, you know, Yarmolenko has a shot and it deflects off the top of the crossbar. But, like, if that goes in, that's just, what can you do about that? You know what I mean?
We needed to get that third goal last night.
Yeah, and you know, the best moment was when Kane plays through Son.
Yes.
And he takes a bad touch.
Sonny,
I don't know, he seems off it at the
touches at the moment.
Seems off it at the moment.
He's bringing such good energy to the team. He is, but his touches are really off at the moment.
Last couple of games has been very bad. Like he's cost himself probably a few goals in the last few games through touches which have been heavy. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just, I don't know. It's something weird, because it's not something you associate really with Son that much, like a bad touch. So it can be a bit loose at times, but to do this consistently is very odd. So hopefully it's just a bit of a phase.
But what you were saying about game management, I think, is spot on, because the way that Conte managed that game, I completely forgot it was 5 subs in that game yesterday. When it was 3 subs, I go in the vlog, oh, and he's made all his subs now. But no, he made 2 more. But I think the subs he made really helped us in terms of bring energy back into the team. I thought Winks, when he came on, was really good in terms of his defensive display and stuff like that. And you could see some of the players that had COVID, like the Lucas Moura, and a few other players, I can't remember off the top of my head, really tiring as the game wore on. And I think that the subs that Conte made really helped us kind of see the game out, really.
It was a big decision on the hour to take off our 2 goal scorers, Lucas and Bergwijn. A lot of managers would have maybe kept them on, but he saw what was going on the pitch and he took the brave decision. You know, on the hour, Bergwijn having goal and assist and probably being our brightest player, but he took him off. And I think it was because he wanted to change formation. And I think at the end of the day, it worked for the benefit of the team, and it shows how Conte is not afraid to make a decision like that. If it's going to benefit the team, he's going to do whatever's best to get over the line. And that was one of the examples out of yesterday, because they're both playing fairly well, I thought.
They were.
Bergwijn and Lucas.
They were playing really well.
The formation was hurting us a bit.
Yeah, and I think once we moved into that 3 in midfield, it gave us obviously an extra man in there. And I think for the most part, it was good. And that's what stifled West Ham to so little chances, really, and only having pop shots from out wide and stuff like that. And I think, look, at the end of the day, in the last 10, 15 minutes, I think we had maybe one opening when that Son chance, and they had maybe one opening when Hugo Lloris comes out against Bowen. But I still felt like West Ham had that tiny bit more control than us, and they were the one in the ascendancy.
Well, yeah, they're chasing the game, aren't they? So you expect that. But Declan Rice, I must say, was brilliant, wasn't he? He was
Declan Rice ran the show.
You could argue he was probably the best player on the pitch actually yesterday throughout the game, because I thought in the second half there were times where he's in the centre of the park and we got like 2 or 3 players around him, and he's just finding his way past them time after time again. And he was really creating stuff and being dangerous, Declan Rice. And he was like the linchpin for them. I thought he was their most dangerous player for sure.
Yeah, definitely. He was. But I think in terms of our midfield, Højbjerg and Skip, first of all, that assist from Højbjerg was bloody brilliant. It was absolutely out the top drawer. You know, the way he turned his body around and found the perfect ball to Steven Bergwijn was brilliant. But I thought both of them, Højbjerg and Skip, played a really good game, especially Skip. I thought Skip was everywhere. I really did. And I thought he did well up against Rice at times, up against Souček at times. But you're right, Declan Rice did really run the show. But West Ham, going forward, they weren't that. I mean, they needed a bit more quality. They missed Antonio big time. And I think if they had Antonio last night, I think it could have been a lot more problems for us.
Yeah, probably. But lucky for us, they didn't. But I tell you what, Bowen had a good game, to be fair. I thought he played quite well.
Sliding in front of the south stand when he scored.
Did he?
Swine.
Let's talk about their goal they scored on Eric Dyer, because he has a lot to
every time
quite culpable for
just
that
as
goal.
we're giving him all this praise, just as Conte comes out and says, you know, he could be the best player in that position, he goes and does that absolute hospital pass. I mean, what is he doing? Straight down the middle of the park.
But that's the thing. I've spoken about him doing that pass a lot since Conte's come in, and it's actually been quite effective, getting the ball very quickly along the ground with a lot of pace into Harry Kane, who's able to get in front of the defender and hold it up and then bring other players into play. And it's actually been quite an effective pass. And I just think he tried it at the wrong time yesterday. And I think either he tried it at the wrong time, or West Ham were very much wise to what he was about to attempt. And the pass, unfortunately for Eric, wasn't accurate enough, or didn't have enough pace on it, and West Ham were able to intercept it. And then as well, not just that, he also got completely flat-footed for Bowen inside the area as well. So
inside out, didn't he?
sold him for that twist. So that was unfortunately for Dyer, that was a massive blot on a game, which I don't think he had a terrible game.
No, not at all.
But it was just again, as we say about Dyer all the time, great for most of it, but then he's always got something like that in him, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Well, he hasn't of late, but yesterday he did, and that's something in history.
It's like a theme throughout his career, you know what I mean? It's a theme throughout his career. But you know, the other defenders, Sanchez, I thought played well for the most part. Ben Davis as well, another faultless display really for Ben Davis.
Didn't see enough of Reguilon, I felt, in this one.
Yeah,
He came a bit off it. I wasn't surprised he went off like near the end, because I thought he looked really tired.
He looked knackered. Skip looked knackered when he went off, and Lucas looked knackered as well.
Yeah.
All three of those looked absolutely dead on their legs at the time when they got taken off.
Conte said in his press conference that he was managing the COVID situation in the second half.
Yeah, I think you could see that as well. You could see it on the pitch, definitely. You could see it, how they were very, very tired. I mean, Sai turned round to me, he was next to me at one stage, and was like, Lucas looks absolutely knackered. He looks absolutely knackered. I mean, he was trying to run at times, and sometimes he was just panting too much. That was Lucas Moura last night. But look, he managed the game well, Conte. We're through into the semi-finals. It wasn't the easiest test, and we knew it wasn't going to be the easiest test. West Ham been very good this season, and I think the game went as a lot of people expected, to be honest, in terms of it was like a ding-dong battle last night, proper London derby and a proper cup game.
One player not many people have talked about is Matt Doherty, who had an opportunity yesterday.
Yeah.
How do you think he did? Because, you know, obviously it was another game, first game, I think first probably starts in Mura. A lot of people probably shuddered when they saw him in the lineup. How do you think he fared overall?
I felt like defensively he wasn't bad. I mean, I have no complaints about him defensively whatsoever. I think going forward, I think maybe throughout the night he put one good ball into the box pretty much, and I don't think he was getting forward enough, and I don't think he was getting enough balls in the box when he did get forward. So going forward, not good enough for me, but defensively sound, to be honest.
I actually think I'm actually the opposite.
Really?
I actually think going forward he was okay. Like he was, I remember a few times he's getting some really nice pass. He doesn't really cross the ball, Doherty. He likes to pass it into the box, which I don't think is a bad thing to do, especially because our players, especially when we've got Lucas and Bergwijn there, they're not the most physical, they don't have the most height. But there was one moment I remember which he did it a couple of times, but he plays this very fast pass across the box, and Bergwijn got a touch ahead of Craig Dawson, and if Bergwijn gets that touch right, he's like in on goal. He just got the touch slightly wrong. But Doherty did that a few times, and I was quite impressed with that. What I didn't like, I thought defensively he was getting caught. I thought actually on that right hand. That's part of the reason why he went off, because I didn't think he had COVID. I just thought he was running out of steam. But I thought Masuaku, I thought they would most of their joy was coming down that side, I felt.
That's interesting. I mean, to be honest, I didn't really notice that. I thought Doherty was all right. But are you saying that, you know, he played well in terms of his past performance, or just generally played well?
Oh, I don't like if Emerson put in that performance. I'm probably going to say it was not great, but like because it's Doherty, I actually think it was pretty good. As in like it's still like a 5 out of 10, you know what I mean?
I think like when
5-6 out of 10.
When you're looking at a Conte system and how much he looks to his fullbacks, I don't think him or Reggie did anywhere near enough going forward like we want to see from our fullbacks. You know what I mean? Like Reggie has been this season, at Sessegnon and Emerson at times as well. I don't think either of them really did enough going forward.
Yeah, Reggie didn't. Yeah, I don't remember too many times where we were able to find Reggie.
The thing is with Reggie, right? Every time he was trying to bomb up, he never like tugs the touchline and went to bomb forward. He always tried to cut inside yesterday, and I don't know why he was doing that yesterday.
Must have been an instruction.
Must have been, but it wasn't really working.
No, you want him out wide as far as possible because he's not the kind of player who's going to in the central areas get a cross on or get a shot in. I mean, or find a killer pass. He's going to be the one putting a cross in on the left hand side or getting beyond the last defender and squaring it. You know that's where his strengths are. So it was a bit strange to see him tucked in quite a bit more. And Ben Davis was the one a lot of the time to be providing a bit of width in a weird way, but. I don't know. Conte's got some plan going on there. I don't know what it is, but I felt like, yeah, he didn't have his best game, Reggie or Doherty. Doherty had one of his better games for Tottenham, but I don't think Reggie had that great game. I don't think it was terrible. Again, I actually thought, yeah, defensively, didn't have too much of an issue with him. But I think Doherty, I don't think he was bad defensively. I just thought they, like Masuaku and especially Ben Rama when he came on, were definitely targeting him. You could see it, and a few times he struggled to really cope with it. But I think it was one of his better displays.
You might be right, maybe towards the latter stages of the game, but I thought for the most part he was all right, Ben Davis.
Yeah, well, it wasn't until the second half he started to struggle.
Yeah, it
wasn't until the second half.
But look, we're through into the next round, 2-1. All you can ask, look, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. All you need to do is get into the next round of the cup, and that's exactly what we did yesterday. Chelsea in the semi-final.
Yeah.
Arsenal play Liverpool. It looks like it is going to be over 2 legs. Does that benefit us over 2 legs?
I reckon so. Because in a one-off tie, I don't know. Does it benefit us?
I think it more benefits us over a one-off tie.
You think so?
Yeah,
why?
Because I think Chelsea have a better squad than us, a better team than us, but on a one-off day, I think we can beat them. But over 2 legs, it's going to be difficult.
They have Mendy and Ziyech going to be missing.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, all right. Lukaku and Werner are off form at the moment.
Or Spurs Arsenal final with this.
Yeah, because Mane and Salah. I tell you what, it could easily happen where Salah and Mane both missing. Arsenal scrape through because they're not facing Salah and Mane, and may get themselves into a full sense of security. And we take them in the final, which would be sweet. But in terms of Chelsea, I don't know. I don't know if it benefits us because it would. I guess it would have been at Stamford Bridge a one-off tie, wouldn't it?
Is that right? It would have been.
I guess so.
The cat first, were they?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess maybe because we've also got Arsenal coming up. We've got a very packed fixture list in January, don't we?
January. We don't leave
crazy.
London, though.
Chelsea, Morecambe, Chelsea, Arsenal, Chelsea.
Chelsea 3 times in January.
Just 3 times in Jan. And Arsenal as well, mixed in with there. So it could be an unbelievable month or it could be an absolute
stinker.
Yeah, it'll come in. I'm not sure.
Would you rather win the cup game or the league game against Chelsea? If I told you now you could only guarantee yourself one of those wins.
I think it would have to be the cup game.
Yeah.
Just put ourselves in a final.
Someone asked me that last night.
Has to be the cup game. Has to be the cup game. As much as yeah, if it puts us in a final, has to be that. Has to be that. And there'll be opportunities to make up the points in the league anyway at this point. So that has to be. And if we can get ourselves in a final, that'll be fantastic.
So are we away first or at home first?
Away first.
Away first. So I mean that benefits us.
Yeah.
Because last time, what was it, 2-3 years ago when we played them in the semi-final over 2 legs? We won 1-0 in the first leg.
And then we lost 2-1 in the second leg. We lost on penalties.
I remember that so clearly. It was so cold at Stamford Bridge that night.
Llorente scored, didn't he?
Llorente scored, and oh my God, that was...
And then, who was it? Dyer missed a penalty, and I can't remember who else.
It was such a depressing night. But I remember playing quite well that game.
We did. I remember we were 2-0 down at half time, thought we were crashing out, and then we really went back into the second half. We had no Kane on that day, I remember. I think maybe even no Son,
I can't remember.
Potentially. But I remember we really gave a really good fight, a really good fist of it, and Llorente played great. I remember he scored, and then he had an unbelievable chance, and he missed it, and we went to penalties. But I think obviously it's going to be a very tough test against a very good Chelsea team. But look, they are off form. And maybe we can capitalise on that.
I really hope so. They are massively off form, but I think that when these games come around, Conte back at Chelsea, London derby in this cup semi-final,
If we
goes out the window.
if we can avoid defeat at Stamford Bridge, though,
Yeah.
which a lot of
We've got
teams
a
at the
big
moment,
chance.
a lot of
We've got a
teams
big
at the
chance.
moment are. I don't think away goals count, so we would have to beat them at home if we draw. But they are struggling to beat a few teams at home. They just scraped past Leeds, like a last-minute soft penalty. They drew to Everton not long ago. They drew away at Wolves. I mean, they're not playing that well at the moment.
No, they're not, and that's what gives me more confidence to go.
They're probably the most off-form team out of the four.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's what gives me more confidence to go and win. I think that I didn't mind any of those teams in the semis, to be honest. Liverpool, not going to play strong teams in this competition. They never do. And Sadio and Salah are out anyway, so I wouldn't have mind playing them. Arsenal, I don't mind playing. And Chelsea, this Chelsea side, massively off form, I didn't mind playing as well. So I really didn't mind which one we've got in that semi-final, to be honest.
It's going to be interesting to see what Conte does when it comes to Son and Kane in all that month, because when we got
Well, they get a rest against Morecambe.
Morecambe, they'll get a rest, but then again, when we have Chelsea, Arsenal, then Chelsea, they play all 3 games probably.
Definitely.
They have to.
Yeah, but I don't think that's overplaying them. That's 2 games a week.
Mm.
It's not like very that grueling.
But then we could have games against Brighton and Burnley at the end of the month as well.
That's true.
So it's going to be a lot. But then again, we didn't start Son yesterday, and we were okay.
We were okay, but I think if
Both
we would come up
Bergwijn and
against-
Lucas scored.
Yeah, I know, but if we come up against a better side yesterday, I think we could have been in trouble. Even if Antonio played yesterday, I think we could have been in trouble.
Yeah, but that's not to do with offensively, is it? That's defensively.
True, but still, I think we were doing well. We were doing okay going forward, but it's not like we were creating wave after wave, attack after attack like we were against Liverpool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's different because West Ham are a different team. So
Yeah.
I actually think I was actually impressed with how we attacked yesterday, because we came up with we came up against a different kind of side who defended in a very, very organised way. Even with missing defenders, they still were very structured at the back. Played a 3 at the back. And I was actually very impressed with how we were able to get in behind and create openings. And I thought actually it was pretty good. Even with a lot of changes, we were still able to open them up, and again, and against a very organised West Ham side, and even without Son as well. So I was pretty happy with that, especially in the first half. The way we attacked, not necessarily the way we defended, but the way we attacked was pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, it's true, but I still felt like Areola. Lloris was coming under a lot more pressure than Areola throughout the game.
Yeah, but that's just criticising how we were able to defend. But I still think when we went forward, we actually played some really nice football.
How many shots on target did we even have yesterday?
We had a few,
Like
I
3?
think. No, I think even in the first half, I think we outshot West Ham on target, I believe.
I don't think so.
On target, okay, 3-4.
They had 4, we had 3.
Yeah.
I thought it was like 3-6 or something.
No, 3-4.
So look, I think we should be doing better. We should be doing better going forward, in my opinion.
Yeah, but you got to remember, it's Bergwijn's first start in a while.
Mm-hmm.
It is, so they're gonna. The more he plays, hopefully, the better they'll be. You know what I mean?
With him, I was very impressed with him. But what do you reckon about Kane last night?
He did some good things. Didn't really, wasn't really a goal threat, unfortunately.
Well, he had that chance in the first few minutes, didn't he?
Yeah, that was a good effort.
saved it.
That was a good effort. I think it was a great ball by Lucas. He forced himself a bit too far wide, and it would have been a great finish to get in from there. I thought he got a good effort off.
You've seen Kane score those before, haven't you?
Yeah, of course, but it has to be a great finish from there to score. It would be a great finish. I don't think he played particularly badly. Should have set up Son as well, which if Son takes a better touch. And I remember there was one moment as well in the first half where he's got like 3 players around him, and he holds all 3 of them off and gets a brilliant ball across the face of goal, and no one was gambling on it. Areola could only touch it wide. So I think he had his moments, but he was. I also felt a lot of the time, especially in the second half, he was quite isolated. Like he had the ball and there was no one really around him, and maybe that's because everyone was very concentrating on holding the lead. But I don't think he was bad. He maybe a bit too anonymous, I would say, for my liking. I want to see him more involved. But when he was involved, I thought he was pretty good.
I felt like he was trying really hard last night, Harry Kane. He was trying to get involved, trying to make stuff happen, but it just wasn't coming off for him. It was just one of those games for Harry Kane where he just didn't get too involved, but he was trying to.
Yeah, and I actually think as well he was allowed to go a bit further deeper yesterday than he was against Liverpool when he was asked to like stay forward all the time. So I've got no complaints about Kane yesterday, despite him. I'd like to see him a bit more involved, but that's it really. I don't think he played badly. I think he played badly.
All right, so into the semi-finals. I mean, there really is a feel-good factor on the way at Spurs Stadium at the moment. I mean, fans are at full voice. Fans are smiling everywhere. People are getting along. No more fights in the ground and all that kind of stuff. So it really is. Things are building up at Spurs at the moment. They really are, and there's a sense of something at Spurs now, isn't there?
Definitely. And you, as you say, with the fans getting all positive. There's a feel-good fact. There's a different energy at Tottenham now. Conte's here. There's a different belief, definitely a different element of belief now. Conte is here, and that is crucial to building something. And I think because of his CV, like Pochettino had to really build that excitement at Tottenham when he came. It took him a while to really build that energy. Like in his first season, like, people were still on his back. People were still not happy with how we were playing, and it took time for him. But because of Conte's CV, and because of who he is and what he's won and what he's proven in the past, it's very easy for fans to get on side and get on board with him. And I think that's what we're seeing at the moment.
100%.
Is he a bit lucky though? Not lucky, but we have had, because of all the games. Because of all the games that have been postponed, we have had a long string of home games since he's come in. It's now obviously we've got Everton away, which we drew, and then we've had Brentford, Norwich, Liverpool, West Ham, and now we have Palace at home as well.
And Leeds we had.
And Leeds as well. And now so that's 5 or 6, so it's going to be 6 or 7 in a row, home games, which has definitely helped him, and maybe in terms of build an unbeaten run and a momentum. But is he lucky in that way, or is it just is it home games doesn't make too much difference?
No, I think he is fairly lucky in that way. He is, because I think that the games that we've played, the games that you mentioned, the Leeds, Brentford, Norwich at home, even under Nuno, you're still thinking we should be winning those games. You know what I mean? So I think he has had a bit of luck, but I think it's worked massively in our favour because it's helped us build that confidence, building block by building block. And, we went into that Liverpool game where we would have got sliced open under Nuno probably. And we put in a really good account for ourselves last night. Hard-fought victory against a good West Ham side, in the Cup, where West Ham have, they've beaten us in the last 3 games we played them or something stupid like that. So I think that he's been lucky, but he's doing very, very good work. And you see the signs of progression literally every single game. You're seeing us getting better and better.
And it's interesting as well because this whole COVID situation where people argue whether it's helped us or not. But if you cast your mind back to before this all happened, before all the games got, it seems like ages ago when all these games were getting called off. But to cast your mind 2 weeks ago, he was playing the same 11 every game pretty much against Norwich, against Leeds, apart from when
he first came.
Yeah, apart from when Skip was suspended and the Winks came in, you pretty much had a settled 11. It looked like he didn't trust anyone else. It looked like this is his 11, and and the other players he didn't trust, and the other players it's going to be very difficult for them to get a look in. But ever since this happened, and he's been either because he's had a better look at these players or because of necessity, because other players just simply couldn't play, he's been been using the other players like Winks, Dele, Bergwijn in the first 11. As I was about to say, was it always the plan, or did this COVID situation force him, and has that benefited us in a way that maybe we can now see these players in a different way and we can start using them?
I don't think he was forced to do it. I think it was always a plan where he was going to have to use all these players. He said, I'm not sure if he said it or if it was from Alistair Gold or Dan Kilpatrick or one of these people, but when he first came in, there was a sense that he didn't want to rock the boat too much and he wanted to carry on with the same players that had been playing. But he always said everyone's going to get their chance, didn't he?
Yeah.
He always said everyone's going to get their chance. And now more or less everyone has got their chance.
Mm-hmm. And they're taking it.
And everyone have taken it pretty much. There's not one player really that hasn't taken their chance apart from maybe Matt Doherty. You know what I mean? you can argue that he hasn't, or you can argue that he has. I mean, it's a bit in the middle. But apart from him, everyone has taken their chance. Harry Winks, an absolute sensational performance against Liverpool. Steven Bergwijn. You know, these players, right, have probably all put in their like best performances over the last 3 years in a Spurs shirt. So I do think it was always the plan to always give them a chance.
Yeah, but he said it himself, Conte. You know, because of the situation, it gives him a chance to see players who have who need to prove something to him, and maybe this whole situation happening has kind of maybe given more opportunities to players where they wouldn't have had them otherwise. So it might have actually helped us in a way, having all these, because all these stoppages and players out, because I feel like players like Winks and Dele are really like showing, and Bergwijn as well, like they really want to fight for the first team.
You know what I love about this all is that any player is coming in and stepping up, right? And it's just not like what Nuno had, like these two different teams, that the Class A and the Class B. There's nothing about that anymore. It's Team Tottenham now. You know what I mean? Everyone is singing from the same hymn sheet. Everyone is fighting for the same cause, and that is what I love about it. It's like if Son has a bad game tomorrow, and Steven Bergwijn's waiting in the wings, he'll have no qualms to bring in Steven Bergwijn ahead of Heung-min Son. It's all about who plays the best.
And we're looking less like individuals and relying on individual things. And we're
Proper structure about us, isn't
yeah,
it?
as in look at the goals we scored. Okay, Bergwijn for the second goal was a bit of individual quality, but the first goal, really great link-up play. It was everyone working together, you know. Højbjerg laying off to Bergwijn, holding off the defender, laying off back to Højbjerg, getting in the box. Like, there definitely seems to be patterns of play, which you can clearly see on the pitch that have been worked on. And everyone seems to know their role. And that is I think that is why we're seeing much better performances from individuals, because they're not just individually performing well. They're going into a structured team, which everyone knows their role and everyone knows what they're doing.
Whereas, suppose under Nuno, I don't think the players actually knew what they were doing half the time. I think
especially on the ball, we knew that, didn't we?
They were so confused. They had no idea what they're doing. And Conte gives them such specific instructions. You know, you got to do this, pass there. You know what I mean? He has so got such an attention to detail. It's unbelievable, Antonio Conte. And I've never seen anything like it, to be honest. And every single player knows exactly what role they're doing, and the whole team as a structure knows exactly what they're doing, and that's the difference here.
Yeah, that's just what I'm really, really enjoying watching Conte, for sure. It's going to be interesting, though, when we do come up against Chelsea, because last time we played them, it was under Nuno, but this time it's under Conte, but both teams like to play three at the back. So we haven't come up against that, like a team who's like us, who kind of that's their formation. It's going to be interesting to see how we fare, like what formation we do play against them. Do we go with a 5-3-2, which possibly, or do we go with a 3-4-3, which is what Chelsea like to play?
Are we playing them early Jan or late Jan?
Early, third. And we're playing them twice in a week, so third, then Morecambe, then the second leg.
Right. Oh, really? It's that quick, is it?
I believe so.
So at least they'll have that rest in the Morecambe game, because I imagine for the Morecambe game we'll play a very much weak team.
Have to. Are we at home? We're at home.
We're at home, yeah.
So it should be all right.
It should be all right. I mean, unless if that Wickham at home game was anything to go by, you know what I mean?
And there's a comment here from 2J. He says, we played well against Liverpool because we moved to a 3-5-2, but then yesterday, as soon as we moved to a 3-5-2, we couldn't get a single shot on target. Still not sure what our best setup is.
But it added steel and protection to us when we did move to three in the middle, though.
That's what I think he's missing here. When we went to a 3-5-2, all of a sudden we became very difficult to break down, and they couldn't really fashion a proper chance. Whereas before, Hugo was called into action many times.
Yeah, definitely. But look, that is our match review of the game yesterday. Spurs into the semi-finals for a second year running of the Carabao Cup. We faced Chelsea, and the other semi-final is Arsenal against Liverpool. Wow, can you imagine a North London Derby Cup final?
That would be incredible, wouldn't it?
I don't know if it would be incredible or not.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, would you enjoy that day? Probably not. I worry you not. Imagine we lose.
Leading up to that.
If we ever lost to Arsenal in a cup final, I wouldn't be able to live for myself.
Imagine the week leading up to that, how nervy it would be.
Yeah, that would be.
I mean, it would be like, oh my God, but winning that game.
on the positive, if David said if we get to the final, he's definitely coming in hosting.
Oh, is he?
That's what he said.
Amazing, amazing.